Hello everyone, I will be narrating about my trip to Germany. Have you ever dreamed about going to another country and diving into a new culture? Have you ever considered what life is like 5,000 miles away? Or what it's like having an authentic schnitzel with sauerkraut? Spending 2 weeks in Germany with my classmates proved to be beneficial to my self-development and awareness of other cultures. It involved a lot of traveling with layovers and passport mishaps that I will always remember in the future. In the spring of 2015, all my classmates and their families crowded themselves around the entrance of the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport in Minnesota around 9 in the morning. Some of my classmates were crying, struggling to say goodbye to their parents, but I knew we were all very excited for this 9-year-long anticipated trip. After we said our goodbyes and retrieved our boarding passes, we paraded through security and made our way to our gate. After retrieving some food for a connecting flight to Chicago, our teacher handed out our tickets and we boarded onto the plane. After a short flight, we landed in Chicago for a heavily awaited 7-hour trip. During the flight, we watched several movies that were popular at the time, such as Paddington. My friends and I even synced our personal movies so we would watch them at the same time and react at the same time. When we arrived in Berlin, it was about noon, and my teacher had planned that we start the trip off with some tourist attractions. Even though we had been up for almost 24 hours at that point, we still had a lot of fun seeing the city. We ate Currywurst and went to a popular park in Berlin. After a long day of travel, we arrived at our hostel, and our teacher advised us to not feed into the jet lag. Desperately trying to stay awake until nighttime, some of my friends and I went to the little coffee shop across the street to get coffee. We loved the coffee so much, we went there every day for the rest of the time we were in Berlin. Throughout our time in Berlin, we did many things that enhanced our time there, such as visiting Mauer Park, meaning Wall Park, which showcased what was left over of the wall that divided Berlin for 30 years. We went on a bike tour through the city, visited the country's parliament building, saw a musical, and ate authentic German food. Although we only spent 5 days in the beautiful city of Berlin, it still remains to be my favorite city in the world. After Berlin, we traveled to Münster by train, where we would meet up with our exchange students that we would be staying with for the rest of the trip. We had not seen them since the previous November, so we were all very excited to see them and their families. Once we finally arrived after a few hours, we were welcomed with all the exchange students and their families with signs and balloons. Throughout our time in Münster, we went to the school and classes and dove into their culture firsthand. It was really interesting seeing them in their natural habitat while in their hometown. A couple days after I arrived, my host family and I even visited Holland for the weekend, which was very special for me. I had never been to Holland before and always wanted to, so it was a very fun surprise. My host family rented a small Airbnb where we stayed for the weekend. We went to Primark, which is a very popular clothing shop in Europe, We also walked around the city, and later that night we came home and watched a bunch of German movies. In conclusion, spending 2 weeks in Germany got me out of my comfort zone and helped me learn how to live independently from my parents. I had never really done that before. I had visited Germany other times before for long periods of time, for like a month, but it was always with family, and it was always someone that, I don't know, it was just very different living independently from my family. It was very difficult parting ways with my host family, but I know that I will always have somewhere to stay when I eventually come back. Although I am fluent in German and still was at the time, I feel that being surrounded by that environment really improved my linguistic skills as well. I also learned the differences in culture between northern Germany and southern Germany, because I had only been in the southern part of Germany, and the difference between Germany and America. I will never forget this amazing trip and the lessons that it taught me. Thank you for listening. Bye.